And welcome into a live Locked On Lions Squad show. I'm Jake Riepma. Coming up on today's show, excited to recap a little joint Lions practice with the Miami Dolphins.
I'm Natalie Kerwin, reporter for FanDuel Sports Network, and the Lions, they've been busy getting after it with the Miami Dolphins this week in joint practices, while I was busy last week getting down, busting a move at the Chris Brown concert. Will there be video shown on this podcast? Absolutely not. Will we talk about it? Maybe so.
And I'm Bradford Banta, 22-year NFL veteran as a player and a coach, former Detroit Lion. Question for you, audience. What happened on this date in history in the Detroit area?
One pride. It's the Lions Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
And here we go. Welcome into a live Locked On Lions show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, and Bradford Banta. Guys, working through some of those technological challenges. Bear with me. Thankfully, the Lions executed far better than I did on that cold whip around intro, and they were dominating at practice and a little joint practice with the Dolphins. We're going to get into all that, but it's great to see you guys for a little live Locked On Lions squad show. And before we go any further, I mean, Bradford, we've been licking our chops to finally have the chance to ask Natalie Kerwin how Chris Brown was. How was the Chris Brown?
Let's do it. Let's ask.
Is this the number one question that you guys were getting last week when I wasn't able to hop on postgame?
You brought it up.
Where's Natty K? Where's the GOAT? If you guys remember that. See, I'm not forgetting that. Chris Brown, you guys, I know, crown on the head here. It was great. All the old songs that I used to dance to in middle school with all my good best friends. It was like reliving old times. So it was a blast. It was at Ford Field, and it was a packed house, and it was just, I don't know, it was good. I haven't been to a concert in a minute, so it was fun to just feel like I was living like the old early, mid 2000s again with those jams. So yeah, definitely broke out some dance moves.
Living your best life. We love that. And from Ford Field, maybe over to Allen Park, as much as I would love to just say, I need a recap of every song that was played, which one landed, which one didn't. But we'll save that to the end. That's a tease to have our entire live audience stick around. But thanks as always, everybody that's hopping on with us live. You can catch the audio version of the show on the Locked On Lions YouTube page, as well as wherever you get your podcast, free and available, of course, your team each and every day. We're going to do our best. We're going to do our absolute best to make this our standard recording live time, our live show time on Thursdays at high noon. And we might actually crack some high noons during the I'm kidding, Sam. If you're listening, that was a joke. It was a total joke. But we encourage you to get involved with the show as well. Let your voice be heard in the comment function there on the live YouTube show, and we'll try to mix in as many comments as possible. But Bradford Banta, my friend, everybody's friend, the MapQuest special, the grandfather of the show,
the historian.
That's right. We got trivia questions teased in the cold open. I love that. Hey. But first and foremost, you were out at practice this week leading up to the joint practice. Love to get your reaction, take, and just observations from the week that was in Allen Park.
Yeah, no, I was able to make it out to practice on Monday, and it was either half pads, full pads. Whenever you get in the NFL, you really can't tell. So because not many guys wear the lowers, but the uppers were on. The cushion helmets were being worn, and they were getting after it a little bit. The thing that stood out to me the most was the sharpness of the team. I thought it was a very physical unit on both sides of the ball. I was able to watch, one-on-ones with with versus wide receivers versus DBs, able to watch one-on-one with the O-line, D-line, little team session, a little 7-on-7. They had a little bit of everything. It was good for the crowd. The crowd got in it. I think the Detroit Lions do an excellent job of just putting on a show for just practice, quoting AI here. So, but just putting on a show for practice for the fans, but the work is getting done.
And that's key. And you saw that correlate and really based on all of the reports that we all see, and not even reports, but tweets and all of the coverage around the joint practice with the Dolphins, just simply domination from the Detroit Lions. Now, you don't get a win in the win column for going out and dominating a joint practice. But Natalie, I got to ask you, I mean, that everything we've talked about in the first two preseason games, obviously the ups and more downs than anything else, it was kind of nice just to have that sense of reassurance that, oh yeah, we do have Jared Goff. We do have Amon-Ra St. Brown that can run circles around the opposition, and Montgomery and Gibbs and all these other weapons that were on full display in that joint practice.
Yeah, well, it's a nice reminder when you're going on Twitter and you're getting notifications on your phone yesterday that the Lions joint practice against the Dolphins yesterday was totally lopsided. That's the word I kept seeing people use. And it wasn't just one reporter. I want to say there were 3 or 4 that used that same term. And so when you see lopsided, you think, does that say more about the Lions or more about the Dolphins at this point, right? And so from our perspective, though, being here in Detroit and being media here for this Detroit Lions team, I think it's amazing to see. And I wish I could have gotten to see it in person yesterday, but it does give you a nice reminder of, what we're seeing in preseason right now are a lot of our backups, right? And position battles. And that's what we've been discussing. But all of the starters, who this team is going to be starting against that Green Bay Packers team for game 1, is what the media and fans were able to see yesterday at practice. So when I see lopsided, when I hear that Amon-Ra, I wrote this down, some article said it looked like he put up a stat line equivalent to Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. He torched the Dolphins, right? And so when you hear that, it's like, okay, there's our wide receiver 1 right there, right? Making multiple chunk catches. I know he hauled in a nice one-handed catch too with a defender right on him. There was just a lot of highlights I was reading and made note of here. And then on the other side of the ball too, Lions defense looked incredible. And we've been hearing all preseason and seeing it as well, that the defense has been a little bit ahead of the offense, but it looked like yesterday the offense finally caught up and was able to put on a show of their own. So all good things coming out of Allen Park. And as I'm reading here this morning, day 2 of joint practices, same sort of thing. So we love to see the direction of this, guys.
No doubt about that. I want to give a shout out to Sean Redmond, IG, Lebowski Sports Cards, watching live. I think he said it best here with the comment, "Let's go Lions, belt to asses on the Fins." I love it. Great stuff there. And in a previous life, I did a little coverage of the Miami Dolphins, so connected with some of their beat writers, and it wasn't like they were trying to hide it either. And I think that's a great point, Natalie, that maybe, as much as, and again, we're not crowning the Lions. Let's make that very clear. But it feels good to see the execution at a high level and that sort of thing. But Mike McDaniel in what I think year 3 or 4, whatever it is, he's not the shiny new OC genius anymore. Become a head coach, and the Dolphins, I feel, are one of those teams tinkering, and McDaniel specifically, of course, on the hot seat. But that's life in the NFL, Bradford. You know better than anybody.
Ooh, is it ever? I mean, Nat, let me ask you, with Bickerstaff being out at practice today, would you have rather been there or with us?
Why you got to put me on the hot seat right now?
Because you're the rose. You're the goat. You're wearing the crown.
Okay, if I could be live streaming from practice right now, have the laptop out, then we could have the best of both worlds. Don't think that would have been a possibility. But
hey, anything is possible here. In our previous discussions, anything is possible here. I won't say what I put out in our group chat, but it is possible. We just need to find out.
Maybe we should have just played around with it. Maybe I should have gone out there today, but it's okay. That's what Twitter's for. That's the beauty of social media. I can see what JB's talking about. I can see what he's up to. I saw the pictures.
Okay.
It's all good. Yeah, we're here. I'm with the squad. I had to miss an episode, so I wanted to be here. Duh.
Well, we're the lucky one.
After last game, you wanted to be here?
Well,
Okay.
Hey, that's in the rear view mirror. We already had to do one.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
But in all seriousness, salute and shout out to Mo Norris, by who all indications is doing better. And I think following up on that is important. And Bradford, you and I mean, we don't want to sound like the broken record saying the same thing over and over, but the resilience and having the ability to bounce back after that, I think speaks volumes to his character. And again, by all indications and reports, it's certainly on the track there to getting back to normal form. So
no, I mean, it's a shout out to not only the Atlanta Falcons training staff, the Lions training staff, Grady Hospital, all the EMTs that worked on him on the field to get him to the hospital, and then observation, making sure that everything was clear and everything was good to go. My understanding, he was back in the building either the next day or the day after. So, and all of his extremities are moving. He seems to be on the road to a good recovery.
Yep, and that's what it's all about. Now let's wrap up segment 1 here with just a little roundtable discussion. And Bradford, Natalie, both you guys, I think as a team, the Lions, I guess, quote unquote, dominated that joint practice. And there was obviously some impressive individual performances with Amon-Ra St. Brown and so on and so forth. But I would say, and Bradford, I'll start with you, just the importance of bottling that momentum and it into the next day of joint practices and into ultimately the preseason game to just keep stacking these good days one after another. What do the Lions have to do in order to capitalize and continue to make some strides as far as growth and preparation for the actual regular season?
Well, it's just like we were talking about, Jake, stacking these days one on top of another. And they've been doing that through training camp. Have we been able to see it? No, not really. I mean, if you go out to practice, yeah, you've been able to observe it. But to actually, that's the one thing that I enjoyed about the joint practices was the competition level rises and you're able to see what every one of your players is all about. Now, granted, the play time that these guys are going to see versus talking about the starters now that they're going to see versus the Miami Dolphins during the game may be very, very limited if they see it at all. So they may dress out and may go through warm-ups just to go through that process, and then they'll never see the field. And because these joint practices, having 2 of them is ideal situation for your starters to get reps because it's good versus good. And it's a competitive situation that these coaches want to see these players in and have them show out. And from my understanding, everything I've read, everything I've seen on TV, the Detroit Lion players have showed out over these last 2 days, including today. I think it's so important that these players keep this mindset and knowing what they have, because they have that core group of starters and these rising backups that keep improving game after game and joint practice after joint practice. And we may get some reports that it probably got a little bit more chippy today than it did yesterday, because on the first joint practice, teams are just kind of feeling each other out. The second joint practice is whenever it's probably your best day of competition, because now both sides know each other. Now they know what they're going against. Today was the best day to judge how the Detroit Lions are looking going into the first game versus Green Bay.
Well, speaking of chippiness, just before we got on here, I was doing my last rounds of looking at Lions Twitter and all the beat writers that I follow, who are all fantastic. And there was some more fights today. We read yesterday that Jameson Williams got into it with Ifeatu Melifonwu, who's now on the Dolphins. It was broken up before it escalated, but those two got into it again today, about an hour ago. Supposedly, Jared Goff threw a great pass. Yesterday, it was an incomplete, and that's when they got into it. Today, Goff made up for it. It was a great pass to J-Mo. And all of a sudden, of course, it was Iffy that was on them. Those two started jabbing it up again, and it had to be broken up. Now, I think those moments, though, are what define this Lions team. When you talk about the grit and you talk about these guys wiping away the preseason chatter and, oh, is this the same team? It's like, okay, no, the starters are the ones you have to pay attention to. Like you said, Bradford, you can get a feel for what this team's going to be if you're out at training camp, not what we're seeing in the 2 games we've had so far on TV. So these guys play the game for a reason, right? It's love of the game, love of the competition, and having these joint practices fuels just that. And I like what we've been able to see. I think these guys are challenged by it. They like having a team to go up against that's not their own guys. And I think it just only helps along the way, help you realize where your team is at. And I think it's just nice to add a little fuel to the fire. So now these guys today will probably hear of from what I could see, another dominant day by the Lions. And the Dolphins have a lot of cleaning up to do. So that just makes this weekend that more exciting. But again, I think the starters, this team has needed this kind of challenge, especially after just what we've seen from the first 2 games. And I think they're taking it. And I don't know, I like to see the battles. I like to see what's come from all these guys. So it's been fun to watch.
We're going to continue breaking down some joint practice stuff, some of Jared Goff's comments, some of Dan Campbell's comments. So don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. The party's just getting started. It's like Chris Brown just had his opener for him, and then we're going to get the main stuff going here. The appetite's just getting going on a live Locked On Lions squad show. Don't go anywhere. Back in just a second. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of the year. NFL is about to kick off, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. This year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and the Locked On Lions squad, that's right, we're playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. I've been using Yahoo Fantasy for years. The updates they're rolling out this month are wild in the best way possible. Hopefully Bradford will know how to use it on his mobile app and his mobile phone. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped the Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League, a killer new way to play Yahoo Fantasy on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, well, guess what? You can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football right now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Right back with you on a live Locked On Lions squad show. Bradford, sorry for the shot and the read there. I don't know why that was in the copy. I just read whatever's in the copy there. So
can I say something? Can I say
absolutely
something?
Can.
Yeah,
we have
I went into my fantasy football draft last year with the second worst draft class, and I ended up finished second in the league.
See, that's just good management.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Sign me up. GM all the way here.
I think we're ready for you to GM the Locked On Lions squad show and write out the copy. That's what it sounds like to me, Natalie, right? Is that what you're hearing?
You are. Dude, you're on top of it. Every show we do, we get that email in the morning. Hey, guys, here's what we're going to break down. Yeah. We're ready for it with specific examples, links to websites. Bradford's on top of it.
Am I wrong? I mean, are we not supposed to be prepared? Resiliency, guys.
No,
Resiliency.
We love the preparation. It's
okay,
amazing.
I appreciate
preparation prevents poor performance. That's what I'm talking about.
Ooh,
like that. Those are the 5 P's to live by. But we got a lot of people joining us live. Yeah. And let's go ahead and let's take some questions before we dive right into Jared Goff's comments on Aiden Hutchinson and Dan Campbell's comments on Aiden Hutchinson. Detroit Sports Talk, a regular listener. How did the defense look today? Well, we've been in the studio. I guess I don't have an answer for you there, Detroit Sports Talk, but I will tell you this, as far as your next question, do you guys think the Lions can have a top 5 defense this year? If they stay healthy, I see no reason not. With Kelvin Shepard in his first year as defensive coordinator, you got the weapons there. It's just a matter of staying healthy.
Right. And you see what this team can be when they don't have more than half a dozen injuries like they did last year. By the time we got to the final week, man, they were down to their last legs, quite literally. And no Aiden
They even gave me a call.
To tease to next year or to our next segment. But you can see what the potential of the team can be when they're healthy. Did you say they gave you a call, Bradford? Because
yes, they did. They're like, "Hey, can you?" And I'm like, "No."
She said yes.
Put on the pads again. Why not?
Yeah,
let's go.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, you're a fantasy football guy. You've made that clear.
Yeah, that's another story for another time. So
I love
just a tease for future shows.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Jared Goff was talking about Aiden Hutchinson, and obviously Goff's previous team, the Rams, had one of the best defensive linemen, albeit an interior defensive lineman, in Aaron Donald. And Goff made that comparison to just how disruptive Aiden Hutchinson can be and has been. And by all indications, Hutch, of course, seems healthy as ever coming off that injury. And I don't know about you both, but when you start to think about the impact a game-wrecking defensive lineman, in this case, an edge rusher, can have, I mean, you just start licking your chops. And we've talked about the Hutch rule, but apparently the Hutch rule had to be implemented with the joint practice with the Dolphins as well. That's when you know you're a game wrecker.
Absolutely.
Aiden is a top-notch player at his position in this league. There's a reason he came in second place for the Heisman voting. You know, as a defensive lineman coming in second place for the Heisman voting. That's saying something. I was fortunate enough to be around him in his years whenever he was at Michigan. And he really, he just works. And he's a leader. And he takes guys underneath his wing and he brings them along. And everybody followed his lead along with that 21 class whenever things were rebuilt at the University of Michigan. And he did an excellent job. And I've seen him do some stuff in the weight room. I've seen him do some stuff on the practice field that you just look at him and you're just like, holy cow. You know, he sets the bar is what he does. And just going through as a defensive end among the many other things that he can do, but you just go through a checklist, traits that you look for in a defensive end. And I'll just, can he read and react? Check. Initial quicks and is he able to penetrate? Check. Does he use his hands? Yes. So strength at point, proven that. Control, shed. Does he have length? 6'5", 280 pounds, whatever he is. I don't know the weight, but I know he's 6'5". Can he tackle? Yes. So is he a good run defender? Yes. They align him at different areas on the field. Can he pass rush? That's why he was drafted by the Detroit Lions in the first round. Does he have body control and balance? We've seen that on Twitter. We've seen it on the field, just in his training. I've seen it in his training in person. Does he have burst and close? From what guys are saying, he's come back even better than he was before. So that's excellent. And can he pursue? Yes. You're looking at a complete player. Now, the key is managing him to make it through the entire season. Now, I know last year was a complete fluke on what happened with him, but he's come back with a vengeance, and he is ready to be unchained and unleashed on, I'm willing to say we're not going to see him until the Green Bay Packers.
The guy's got an unbelievably high motor as well, which is always what sticks out to me. And I feel like every time he's in there, every snap, he wants it. He wants to get to that quarterback. And you love just the effort that he puts into every game. And from a leadership perspective, too, you can tell the guys listen to him. And last year. You just look at the season he was having. It was so unfortunate, that dang Cowboys game. Every time we go against the Cowboys, it feels like something has to happen. But he was on pace last season for 25 sacks, which would have been an NFL record. And so that just goes to show how much he's already developed his couple of years here in the league. And I want to throw back to you, Bradford. Was there a moment while you were around him at Michigan, whether it was in the training room, on the field during a game, maybe it was during a film session, whatever it may be, that made you think this guy can go places in this league? I know that might be tough to think back on, but is there something that sticks out to you about him? Because I just feel like he's always had it in him.
Yeah, no, he's always had the it factor in him. He's a leader. A couple things stand out. I think whenever we changed defenses in 21, I think that definitely helped. And then the fact that, unknown to a lot of people, Aiden, and I'm just saying this because he's making it all about the team. And it's not because of the position I'm about to name, but he's also a great long snapper. And it's kudos and a shout out to the position because, yeah, I was one. But still, people don't understand. There's 5 people that touch the leather every time they step on the field. And 3 of them are not important until it is important. So you have the center, you have the quarterback, you have the long snapper, you have the kicker, and you have the punter. Every time they set foot on the field, they're touching the leather. And guess what's king out on the field, guys? What's king? The ball. The ball is king. Everybody wants that. So those 3 guys, talking about snapper, kicker, punter, are touching the leather. Aiden I would pull him aside, and I made a promise to him. I was like, hey, man, I go, you're going to be our backup long snapper. We're not going to snap you during practice, but once a week before practice, I need you to give me like 7 snaps. We'll get you warmed up, get you greased up, and just give me 7 snaps. And he was like, okay, no big deal. And, he would come out. I would remind him every week, which is fine. Guy's got a lot going on. So, hey, meet me out before practice and we'll get some snaps in, before you go do your D-line drills. Okay. So, I'd show up there. I'd have the ball ready. He'd throw a couple to me, and then he'd shoot about 7 plus balls back. And then, hey, man, you're done. Okay. And then he'd run over and start his defensive line drills. But just the leadership qualities in this player, Aiden Hutchinson, is something that you can't discount. And this is the reason why he went so high in the draft. And this is the reason why the Detroit Lions wanted him whenever he came out.
Yeah, just the face and heart and soul of that defense, and a local. It's just, I'm not going to go into all the cliches. We know the Michigan man.
He's a hometown kid. We'll say it.
Guy. Yeah, there it is.
He went to Divine Child, which is right down the street from Allen Park.
Yep. I love it. Real quick, let's wrap with other notes on the defense. I wanted to talk about the secondary and real quick. We don't have a ton of time for this, but Carlton Davis out and DJ Reed in. I think that's probably the biggest shakeup in the secondary. What can this team look like? And as far as a back 7 is concerned, and again, new defensive coordinator, that's going to be an impactful part of the entire defense, not just the secondary, but I'm looking forward to seeing DJ Reed in action as a potential game changer in the secondary.
To you, Nat.
Yeah, I mean, this Lions team, right, where they're kind of playing around with who's going to be where. I know they've moved Rock Yassin kind of back and forth between corner and safety just to see where, he may fit best. I think having DJ Reed in there and his experience, I think is going to be good for this team. Especially just Terrion Arnold. He's starting to get ramped back up in practice. I know they were putting him in some team drills today. I think to have him and DJ Reed in there, I think it's just that cornerback room, I think is just going to continue to grow. And I hope, we see some of that too in this game this weekend, as that secondary is trying to become stronger and dealing with certain injuries. I think having a guy like DJ in there will be great.
No, I think one of the unsung heroes of this group is going to be my man Rock. He's going to be a Swiss Army knife for the defensive backs. I think he does an excellent job. He plays hard, and we've talked about him. We've talked about him before on the show. He just comes. He's a lunch pail guy, and he just comes to work. He gets the job done. He's a hard-nosed player, and that's somebody. Even though he may not be a starter, but that's somebody that everybody, and I'm talking the defense, special teams, heck, the entire team can just rally around that type of player, because he's going to deliver a big hit that's going to just get everybody up off of the bench and want to see this guy play whenever he's in the game.
No doubt about it. Hey, we put it off long enough. We got to talk about that QB2 battle and what we expect to see and what we hope to see, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything that's led up to this point. Don't go anywhere. That's coming up next. QB2, who is it? We'll talk about it on a live Locked On Lions Squad show. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Lions Squad show is brought to you by our good friends at Monarch Money. That's right, Monarch Money. It's so much more than a budgeting app, my friends, because most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, properties, investments, you name it. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your mobile phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without even touching a spreadsheet. Good news for me. I don't even know how to open a spreadsheet. If you have linked all your accounts before, you know the value in that. And with Monarch Money, you can immediately spot a few subscriptions that maybe you don't really need anymore, you weren't even using. Canceling those, along with just being smarter with your money, is a great way to save some money every single month. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with Locked On NFL. We're back with you on a live Locked On Lions Squad show, guys. It's going to sound, by the end of the preseason, this conversation is going to be fingernails on a chalkboard, and maybe it already is. We got our viewers in the comments. If this doesn't put you to sleep, let us know in the comments, or better yet, give us your best idea on what the backup quarterback situation should look like for this Lions team. Because Natalie, Bradford, I'm stumped. And well, I mean, we can round table this one, and Bradford, will start with you, I suppose. Who is the backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions if the season started today?
Is he here?
Yeah, that's another question.
Ding, ding, ding. I don't know.
I mean, we talked about it, post game. Allen definitely took a step forward versus the Falcons. Can he repeat the performance? And how's his performance been versus the Dolphins over the last 2 days? I haven't read anything about it. I don't know if y'all have, but I'm not aware. But look, going back to the Falcons game, he stepped forward. Hooker had a couple balls that were dropped early on, but at the same time, it's I think Allen is ascending, just with efficiency and finishing, but now with this week-long practice with Miami. So you're going to have to look at the coaching staff, and the personnel staff is going to have to look at that tape heavily. So can Hendon reclaim his number 2 spot? Can he gain that ground? Because look, with the 2 passes that were dropped on Hendon early in the game, I mean, he's good timing, but golly, I mean, you just want to stick some Velcro on his hands before he releases the ball, because the turnover issue or the fumbling issue that he has right now, I mean, you think he's just holding a greased pig. That thing is just not staying in his hands whenever he gets traffic around him. And the other thing you want to see him improve on, and hopefully he's working on it this week, is running to throw or scrambling to throw instead of scrambling to run. Keep your eyes downfield. Let your peripheral vision view what's around you. Look for the open receiver. Those guys are a lot more adept and are a lot better athletes. Now, I know Hendon Hooker's a good athlete, but they're a lot better athlete once they have the ball in their hand. Get it to them. Get it to them quickly.
Now, if you were to ask me who would start if the season were to start, my answer is also TBD. Could be someone else, but if we did have to pick between one of the two, it is hard because you could arguably say in the Hall of Fame game, Hendon Hooker played better against Atlanta. You could say Kyle Allen played better. I feel like they're both still right here. Kyle Allen, I think, a little ahead of Hendon at this point. But here's the thing. Hendon had a big opportunity on his shoulders to go into this game and show everybody that he is good with ball security. He can handle passing in tight windows. He can be that confident QB2 that we're looking for, and he didn't really show any of that. Turning the ball over twice with 2 fumbles doesn't look great from the get-go. Kyle Allen comes in, not in the second half like he was supposed to, but at the end of the first half. And Dan Campbell trusted him to just go in and be the guy. And he said post-game, I was really fired up to see Kyle come in and take that opportunity in engineering 2 touchdown drives, one long 68-yard catch to Jackson Meeks and the other one to Isaac Tesla. And both of those, I think, have stood out to a lot of people. And I felt like Kyle came in with more of a poised confidence, trying to write off that week 1 performance in Canton, because a lot of people were ready to just take him off this team immediately. So I think he was able to kind of redeem himself, right? And show, hey, I've been in this league for a little bit of time now. I got it in the tank. I'm getting used to the scheme here. I'm getting more used to the offense. And he mentioned that yesterday after practice as well. I feel more comfortable with this team. And I understand the direction these guys are going, and I want to show that I can do that. So it feels to me like Kyle Allen is walking around more with this poised confidence that he's got it. Hendon Hooker, I don't know if he feels that internally, because arguably I think you can look at both those guys, and Hendon is a little bit more athletically talented, I think, when you put both guys next to each other. But Kyle up here, I think, feels like he's ready, and I don't know if Hendon is there yet. That's what we're going to have to wait and see.
An angle that I thought of just recently, and I should have thought of it way sooner, and Bradford and the evaluation part of all this, especially in that Hall of Fame game and the Atlanta game as well, is it's almost like the backup quarterback is out there with the entire second unit, whereas God forbid, and I knock on wood, everything else, and if you're superstitious and so on and so forth, God forbid something happened to Jared Goff, the backup quarterback is still playing with 10 other ones. He's playing with a cohesive group of an offensive line, obviously all the weapons that we've talked about. Just from an evaluation standpoint, how do you kind of factor that in to the tape that we're seeing in preseason, but then try to, manufacture in your head, well, he's actually going to be throwing to Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo, and again, no disrespect to the twos that are trying to make the team or the backups trying to make the team, but that's a huge part in this evaluation.
No, yes, it is a huge part, but what we see is during game time is 1 day out of 7.
Right.
And I had a coach once tell me, hey, if you want to stick around in this league, there's 2 things you got to do. We have you here because of your athletic ability. So there's 2 things. One is just be on time. That means you're reliable. Another one is know what to do. So if you can do that, know what to do, meaning take care of the ball, complete the short to intermediate routes, possibly hit a big one. Every so often, like Allen was able to do versus Atlanta, you show your worth. But during those 6 days prior, these guys are probably getting work with the one unit. And the coaches are able to evaluate that. And they're going against good competition. These guys, all 90 of these guys wouldn't be here if they weren't good athletes. So you're talking about good on good. These guys get to see it every day, especially with the mantra that the Lions, that Dan and Brad and Sheila have all instilled into this organization, which is grit. So that culture is established, and you have the veteran players that want to continue that, and they are hungry to take that next step. And what is that next step? Is making it to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. So, but they have to just take it one step at a time and go 1-0 every week. But I guess I got a little off track there, Jake. But they're getting their reps with the ones. So the personnel staff and the coaching staff is able to see what Hendon and Allen can do with the ones at their disposal.
No doubt. Natalie, anything to add, or we'll mix in some of the live comments that we've got flooding in on this topic
let's get them in then. Let's hear these comments.
Shout out to Brandon Martin here, who just, I like it. Just tell it as it is. I think Allen is a better quarterback than Hendon Hooker. So it's the classic discussion of, I think Hooker's got more potential. I really do. I felt that way when they drafted him, and not to regurgitate all of his college stats and everything, but when healthy, he was a Heisman Trophy finalist or candidate. And it's the optimist in me, and almost trying to think from an offensive coordinator's perspective. You feel like if we could just catch that lightning in the bottle with Hendon Hooker, he could bring more value. Whereas Kyle Allen, that ceiling, you kind of know what you're getting in terms of the potential there. But it's the magic formula of how to unlock that potential for Hendon Hooker for me that I'm not convinced it's over. I'm not convinced that door is shut. So I'm still a Hendon believer.
Hashtag Hendon believer.
Yeah. Better than a Hooker believer. I don't want to be on record saying I'm a big believer in Hooker.
You've thought about this. But you're good at thinking before you say.
Yeah, sometimes.
Is it written right by your computer? Hey, I got to get this line in.
Do we know yet, guys, if Hendon is getting the start this weekend?
I honestly don't.
I have not heard anything.
Okay, I haven't either. So I didn't know if you guys saw something or read something. I didn't, but I'll be curious to see if they'll throw Kyle Allen in to start this one, or give Hendon another chance to go through warm-ups and try and redeem himself again.
We did talk a little bit just about the difference of the routine pregame, knowing you're commanding that huddle the first time you possess the rock and or the leather, as my guy Bradford would like to put it. That's most important, baby. Take care of the leather, the pigskin.
That's right. The king. Ball is king.
That's right. So, hey, let's look ahead to the rest of the position battles going on right now, as well as preseason game number 3. And other than the Detroit Lions and Los Angeles Chargers, if you said preseason game number 3, that would mean the last one. But aren't we lucky? We still have preseason game number 3 and preseason game number 4. But our Lions Dolphins preview and some more position battles is coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Locked On Lions Squad Show right here on the Locked On Lions Podcast Network. Wow, how about that? We are back right away. Everybody at home, it's a short break. We're live. Do not adjust your YouTube monitors, your phones, your tablets, your laptop computers, whatever you're tuning in. on the show. We thank you for making us a part of your day. Just some quick housekeeping items. I think now is a good time if you've been with us for all of our weekly shows. I believe, help me out, guys. Is this weekly show number 2, 3? I should know this. I think it's weekly show number 2.
2.
Is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
That tells you how good I am at math. I can't count to 2 or 3, but we're going to do our very best to make this our regular live show time. But don't worry, if you're not able to join us live on Thursdays at noon, you can catch the recorded version on YouTube or the audio version anywhere you get your podcast, which is also a friendly reminder to subscribe to Locked On Lions. You've got the daily show with Matt Derry, who we are still efforting to get on the squad show. We will at some point in this preseason. And of course, our post-game shows immediately following the final whistle. And by immediate, it depends on how quickly I can make the graphics and get the show ready to go. So that's on me. But that being said, hey, this is your post-game destination. Doesn't cost you anything. Make sure you subscribe. Position battles. That's what the preseason's all about. We can go around the offensive side of the ball first, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Isaac Tesla, because he's the star of this preseason, at least in my estimation so far. And did anybody see the new nickname? I love the important stuff, not what's going on the field. I like the nicknames and the chatter around Isaac Tesla. Did anyone see his new nickname that I believe was coined by Will Birchfield? Was the first one I saw tweeted out, that Christian Mahogany has been calling him this. Did anyone see this one?
I did.
So
I did.
What? I did not. What is Coleslaw's new nickname?
Tell him that.
Is it Optimus Prime?
I saw that one. Yes. So there's 2. All right.
But there's 2. Because I said you cannot. That's for Calvin and Calvin only. We cannot.
Exactly. He was out of practice today. Yeah.
But the reason behind it is because 18 and 81, you flip the numbers. And so it's basically saying like he's a mini Optimus Prime. But still, you can't feel like you can't try and let's stick with the coleslaw.
Yeah, I love the coleslaw one. This one plays on the coleslaw, though. So the other one I saw, which is so funny to me, you've heard of Megatron. Obviously, we all have. Christian Mahogany apparently has been calling him Mayotron.
Mayotron.
I'm not touching that one. So,
I love it.
Yeah. No, Optimus Prime is going to have to be earned. Megatron was earned. I was able to see that firsthand. So that was earned. Optimus Prime, let's pump the brakes. He hadn't made it to planet Earth yet. So to wreak his havoc.
Mayotron just doesn't even sound appealing or badass in any sense of the word. I don't get that one. That one doesn't.
Is he, are they trying to go for the that Will Levis mayonnaise endorsements here? So
yeah, that's a great pull, Bradford, because I mean, I knew, and I guess the book's still out on Will Levis, but I knew you couldn't trust him as your quarterback when he was putting mayo in his coffee. And he just proved me right with some of the worst and most egregious turnovers you will ever see. And it matches how egregious it is to put mayo in your coffee. But hey, how do you know it's the preseason? Well, when you're talking about mayo in your coffee. But position.
Have y'all tried it? Have y'all tried it?
No, I've not tried it.
No, I haven't either. No,
I thought you were about to say, yes, it's not half bad.
No. The only thing I've tried in my coffee as a little bit of a change up was orange juice, which is not bad. Gives it a little bit of twang. Oh, you're going to try it this week. You're going to be like, what was Banta talking about? And you're like, not bad. Not bad.
No,
so as a change up.
Don't know if I can hop on that one. I mean, maybe I'll do just a little dabble in a separate coffee cup. I'm not going to waste a cup putting my OJ in it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Part of the Locked On Lions squad show is to get to know one another and get to know our audience. So I think I revealed that my coffee order, dark roast with a couple shots of espresso. Bradford, for some godforsaken reason, puts orange juice in his coffee. Now, what's the
I feel like I'm pretty normal. I'm a latte girl. I love just a good vanilla latte. But when I'm at home, I have black coffee with a little bit of creamer in there. I go back and forth between vanilla, hazelnut. I'm simple. Right. I also keep it simple.
All right. So what's your order if you pull up to Starbucks?
I will typically do, well, I've been really big into matcha lattes lately.
Of course.
That's
Probably
very-
like shaken, not stirred, shaken in two directions and
of course,
light
yeah.
on the ice.
Not the tea, it's those green drinks.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every girl has hopped on that trend, so I had to. And at first I thought it tasted like grass, but then you add a little vanilla to it, a little milk, oat milk specifically, and you have your perfect Starbucks order. So
See, and y'all are giving me a hard time about putting a little bit of OJ in black coffee. And then you go into, at first it tastes like grass. Well, at least mine tastes like oranges.
Oranges and coffee beans does not sound like they go together. But how about
Don't
we
knock
do this?
it until you try it. Don't knock it until you try it. All right.
You go order a matcha in the Starbucks drive-thru, and I will put OJ in my coffee this week.
Look, I'm gonna have to get you to text me the order because I'm not gonna. I don't even know if I can pronounce. Was it matcha? Yeah, I have trouble enough with last names, much less a Starbucks order.
We'll get this in order.
Okay, perfect. Done. Mine's done. My end is done.
Hey, I'm simple on this. I'm dark coffee with a couple shots of espresso. I don't need to try any of the grass-fed tea and everything else. So it's and mine even has, call it a red eye. That's what the pilots have during the red eye flights. So I stick to it. It's like it's like a QB sneak. You know what's coming and it's tough to stop. So offensive line play. Dan Campbell talked a little bit about Tate Ratlich and saying that he's progressing. He's looking like he's ready to be a starter in this league. And I don't think Dan Campbell's the one or the type of coach to BS with the media and just, provide these compliments just because. I don't think he says that unless he truly means it. Obviously that's music to our ears. You talk about a second round draft pick at a position group of need, given the retirement and everything along that offensive line. I think it's a great opportunity for Tate Ratlich.
I think he's, after watching him play versus Atlanta, he's definitely going to be in consideration. They brought him in here in the second round for a reason. And that wasn't just to, ride the bench. They want him to play. You're talking about a big individual, and this is a big man's game that they play. So if you can dominate up front, like he's shown so far, now once the real play starts to begin of the regular season, now we'll see if he can step up and fill that role.
Well, as Jake, you just said too, you got to trust what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell say about these guys. And of course, when he was drafted, there's a reason he's here in Detroit. And I think Dan going to lengths to say this guy looked like a starting NFL guard yesterday during practice. I think that speaks volumes on his progress, on where he's at. And for it to fire Dan up like that just shows the confidence he has in that group. And I love that Tate is going to have guys to learn from as well on that line, including veterans Taylor Decker. He's got Penei Sewell to look at. He's starting to get more in tune with guys like Christian Mahogany and Graham Glasgow. And I just feel like that line is going to mesh really, really well together. And I remember as soon as Tate Ratlich was drafted, everyone was laughing because he kind of looked like a mini Frank Ragnow in the sense that they both love doing outdoor activities and they both, I guess just kind of have that grit. And of course, Frank, being an all-pro that he is, we're not going to go to lengths to say that Tate is going to become that. But I think if he can at least be a mini Frank Ragnow and start to show the coaches that he does have the skills to be to be a starter, I think that speaks volumes on where this team is at. And I'm excited to see him hopefully get some more reps this weekend as well.
And it's going to be curious to see how the cohesion of the offensive line plays out, because there was something that was reported either this week or late last week. Manu was walking off the field. Taylor Decker pulled him aside, and they had a long conversation. What that conversation was about, hey, that's for them to know. And only them to know. We don't need to know anything about that. But what that tells me is that you have a seasoned vet pulling a budding player that wants to do well and probably asking questions and a true assessment of his play. Now that tells me with the offensive line, that cohesion is there. So, and it's starting to spill over into the, generally you carry, let's say, including practice squad, probably about 10, 11 offensive linemen. And that cohesion spills over to everybody in that room.
That's good stuff. Hey, great comment here and a good way to end it from Don Burr, asking for news on today's joint practice. And let's tie a bow on today's Locked On Lions squad show with exactly that. Colton Pouncey obviously covers the Lions for The Athletic with a couple of live updates today. And to kind of give you the spark notes, the summarized version, much more competitive today. Said Miami's defense made some really impressive plays. They forced a fourth down turnover in some late game situational periods. The overall consensus today is that the Miami defense showed up a little bit more ready to play, which you would hope based on everything we heard from day number one.
Yeah, you would have thought so. I mean, hearing how much more talented and lopsided it was yesterday, I don't think any of those players wanted to go back to their hotel room last night and have the same thing happen again today, driving up on the bus to the Allen Park facility. So, yeah, I'm sure Mike McDaniel and the rest of those Dolphins coaches did get on those guys. And you know what? We did expect it to be more competitive because then that just helps the Lions offense get a little bit more challenged and get thrown some different coverages and just things thrown at them. I think in practice, I think it's always nice to get something different that you're not used to. I like to hear that it was more competitive. You know, that's going into this next game. We're trying to, as we've said, stack good days on good days, get more competition, feel more ready. That's what these guys need to do in order to prepare for that week 1 game against Green Bay. So I like to hear that. Bring it on, Miami. That's what we want.
I love it.
Yeah, because today, what they did today, I would imagine they covered, kind of knowing the layout of the joint practices and stuff, I would imagine that they covered some situations. And in my understanding, matter of fact, I know they did. So my understanding is that Lions defense did well and Lions offense was cooking, especially in the last half or last part of practice before it ended.
Love that. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Preseason game number 3, Saturday, Ford Field, first of 2 home preseason games. We'll have the live post-game show immediately following it. One thing, everybody, one thing we are watching for. I'm selfish, so obviously just looking out for me here, and I'm going to say mine right away so it doesn't get stolen. But the backup quarterback room. I mean, who's going to be QB number 2? Finally, is somebody going to step up and take it? And for my previous comments, maybe we'll unlock that potential of Hendon Hooker.
I'm right there with you, Jake, but I'm not going to steal it. I'll throw something else out to our audience. I'm looking at that wide receiver 4 through 6 battle. I think it's interesting right now. I like the way Isaac Tesla has been playing throughout this preseason. Who doesn't? I think Jackson Meeks is continuing to show who he can be. Loved his play against the Falcons too, watching those highlights back. And then you have a guy like Tom Kennedy, who's been on this squad for a couple of years now, that continues to try and kind of put his name in the running as well. So I'm looking at that battle this weekend too.
What I'm looking for as a former coach is I'm looking to see if they can't clean up the penalty game. So is it crippling? No, but they're going to happen at the wrong time. And so if they can get that done, and that's part of the hidden yardage that the Lions are going to have to win to be successful, and to not run away with games, but win games by more than, 3 or less points. Let's put them out of reach. Let's put these games out of reach. How do you do that? You win the hidden yardage game.
I love it. I love it. And I'm fired up to watch some preseason football, more fired up to be on the air after it. And it's a friendly reminder and plug to join us. And I believe, Natalie, you're out, right? You're ditching us, something like that, if I remember.
I am. I should have a replacement, yeah? Do we have one?
We're efforting. Remember that is the big thing at the Locked On Lions squad show. We do a lot of efforting. We lay it all on the line. How about that?
We do. It's okay. Hey, even with you two just in the reins, you kill it. So it's okay. You don't all, I know it makes it better to have the three of us.
Yeah.
But you guys do a fantastic job just as is. But I know it makes it easier. But it's okay. We're going to have a lot more to talk about next week. I'll fill you in on my weekend. All the good things.
Can't wait. Final thoughts, 10 seconds or less. Looking forward to preseason football is mine.
Okay. I mean, I'm right there. I'm looking to see how this team can get another dub. Let's get 2 dubs in a row.
Yeah.
Who's going to show out this weekend? Who's going to take the next step?
I love it. That's the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Thanks for spending your Thursday lunch hour with us. We'll do this again next Thursday. And, of course, catch us after the Lions-Dolphins game from Ford Field. For Bradford Banta and Natalie Kerwin, I'm Jake Riepma. See you next time on a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. Make sure you like and subscribe. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.